Hey, it's Cliff, and someone sent me this Dave Ramsey video dealing with student loans, and so I have been trying to avoid doing these reaction videos because it seems like anytime I disagree with what Dave Ramsey has to say, it just pisses a lot of Dave Ramsey fans off. So I'm not really trying to stir up the pot, but I figured this one was kind of interesting, so I figured we could go ahead and watch it together. And at the end, I'm gonna let you know what I would do in her situation, and I definitely want to hear what you would do in her situation as well.
So I have a question about student loans. Yay, I have many emotions about what Biden declared today, but I'll try and get to the point. My husband and I were in our early 20s. We have $2,375 left to pay off on our student loans. We have worked so hard to get to this point. Now Biden's declared that he can just forgive it at some point, but we know there's a period of time before that's going to happen. Would it be the right thing to do out of principle to just pay it off on our own? Or should we apply for forgiveness once that application becomes available to us?
So she's got 2,000 in student loans, and she's just asking if she should wait to see what happens with these policies that are coming out with student loan forgiveness, as Biden has announced that he was going to forgive 10K.
Write a check and pay it off. Don't wait.
Okay.
Don't wait. The emotion here is so mixed about the call today and what they announced, and I think the heart behind it is relief. Well, we can probably go all around, but I think there's an element of it that is to relieve people, and you guys don't need relief because you have the money, and you got. I mean, and there is a personal responsibility thing with all of this too, that you guys signed this. And your names are on it, and the idea of taking money from the government when you have it, I can't. That doesn't sit well. Doesn't sit well with me. So
if you guys don't know, this is Dave Ramsey's daughter, and just me, like, she's the last person that I want to be lectured on moral responsibility or just anything to do with student loans, because she probably had a full ride. She doesn't know the struggle that is going on with student loans and these people that have loans that they'll never be able to pay it off.
I wrote a check and pay it off. Don't wait on them. That's a nice way of saying it.
Marita, you already knew that was what you wanted to do because it's who you are by the way you phrased your question. And so it makes it very easy for us to just agree with you and say, yeah.
I don't think that's what she wanted at all. I think she just wanted someone to say that she qualifies for these loans and she should just go ahead and accept that she's getting a little helping hand, there's nothing wrong with that. This is something that's happening by the president. It's not something that she was campaigning for or anything like that. This is just something that is going to be there for her that she qualifies for, so she should accept it because it's going to help her out.
It's not immoral for someone to take the relief that is being offered.
Absolutely, it's not moral.
But there is a moral obligation that you borrowed the money, and to pay it back is a values-based decision. Even though you, quote, don't have to, unquote. It's a values-based decision.
He just contradicted himself there. He's saying it's not immoral, but yet it is immoral because she took the loan, so she needs to pay it back. Not really making a whole lot of sense to me.
On a macro level, on a nationwide level, on a big scope, somewhere we have to remind people that the money comes from the government, comes from somewhere. And the $300 billion with a B. A billion is 1,000 million. That is 300,000 million that the president is strutting around proud that he just added to the taxpayer's burden.
The issue with that is that has nothing to do with her. We could agree that politically or for the economy, that's a bad decision. I'm probably on the same page with him that doing this is probably not such a good idea. But the thing is, the president's already done this. Like, this is something that he's already working on. And if this does happen, all she's doing is hurting herself by not taking these loans. Because I guarantee you, the majority of the people are going to take these loans. So the damage to the economy is already done. So morally, she's not doing anything. Like, it's all she's hurting is herself.
If you are a taxpayer, and 48% of you are not in America today, a federal income taxpayer. But for those of us that are, our burden was just increased by 300,000 million, so that you could get $10,000 in debt forgiveness.
So here's the thing. Dave Ramsey just said like 6 months ago that he wasn't a bad Christian because of kicking people out of his homes. He has a bunch of rental properties and he's raising the rents, which is forcing people that can't afford the rents anymore to be kicked out and misplaced in their homes, right? He's saying that's not his fault. It's the economy's fault. Well, this is essentially just the same thing. It's the flip side of it. Because it's not fitting his political agenda, he's going to try and guilt trip her into not taking this money. But she didn't do this to the economy. She didn't. The president is going to do this regardless. So that money is already going to be placed on the taxpayers' backs, right? So for her to not take this money, she's just hurting herself.
I'm happy for you if you got your debt forgiveness. I really don't want bad things for you. I want good things for you, and I'm not angry with you. You didn't do anything out there if you got debt forgiveness. But the absurdity of this political move as a Hail Mary to try to get back in the graces of the voters before the midterms in a presidential administration that is a complete economic failure, it's just infuriating. And it's all put on the backs of your grandchildren because it's all added to the deficit. $30 trillion in debt already. And we add 300,000 million to that in student loan forgiveness while we continue to make student loans. And this is just it's just intellectually dishonest to continue to make the loans and on the one hand and then turn around and forgive them on the next. Because the next call we're going to be getting, we're going to get this call because it's already running through some of your heads. I've got $26,000 in student loan debt. President Biden just forgave 10. I'm going to wait on him to forgive the rest. Is that okay? Even though there's no announcement of that or indication of that or promise of that, but once you've opened the spigot, folks are going to expect you to continue to open the spigot, like Trump issued.
Listen, those people that are going to wait around for the government to pay off their student loans with no indication that they're going to do that at all, those people are probably not going to pay back their loans anyway. Those are just bad people. They're financially not responsible, and there's nothing that we can do to help those people. But I don't think this changes that in any way.
Bucks during the Trump dollars during COVID, and then another set, and then Biden bucks came out, and Biden bucks and Biden bucks. So once all of your COVID problems were going to be solved by the government instead of by your own hand, then you now are waiting on these Biden bucks to come through after the Trump bucks, after the Biden bucks, after the Trump bucks. And it just keeps going and going and going and going because you've begun to look at Washington, D.C. as your source.
When we were getting those questions,
that's the whole point. This is facts on paper. This is the president of the United States coming out and saying, I am doing this right now. It's completely different from someone running for office and saying they're going to forgive student loans. No, this is the president saying, I am forgiving 10K.
But even just the idea, to your points, floats in people's heads. And when that seed is planted, it's this idea that I'm going to just sit back.
It turns you into a trust fund baby.
And there's a...
Yeah. I mean, if you're sick, if your dad is...
Did you see her face? Like, even she does not agree with him. Like, she's kind of like trying to dance around the issue of how she doesn't agree with him. It's kind of funny.
60 years old and he's got $10 million and you don't work much and you want to just sit around and wait on him to die for you to have a life because you're going to get it because you're going to inherit $10 million. It's the same dadgum thing. I'm sitting around waiting on someone else to fix my life.
Yes, right. The mindset is the same, but I think the feeling of debt and the weight that debt carries on families, though, is different than I just want to be lazy
Oh.
and hammer. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I
Like,
agree. I agree.
so the mind, yeah, I
That's
get
true.
what you're saying, but
That's
also
true.
I'm like, man, there's like this.
But when you say, okay, I'm not going to deal with this.
Right. And I'm going to let someone else.
I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to wait on someone else to do it.
All right, so let me give you my opinion on this whole situation and strategically what I would do if I was in her situation. So what we know right now, Biden came out, he said he's going to forgive the 10K, which, I'm going to be real with you, we don't know if that's actually going to come true or not. We're just kind of waiting until we can see some kind of guidance that's going to come out, you know, any kind of information that we have on this. But we know it is official. We just don't know what the terms are going to be for people to qualify, right? So I'm with Dave. I don't normally recommend sitting around with high amounts of debt waiting for the government to pay them off, but here's personally what I would do. There's what we know right now. So right now, the Emergency Relief Act was extended. So what does that mean? Right now, people with student loans are currently paying 0% interest right now, right? And this is until December 21st. So in her situation right now, yes, she has the money, but she could just place it in a savings account, right? Because nothing bad is going to happen to her up until that time. That buys her a lot of time for wait on the guidance on this actual policy to come out. And at that point, she can see if she qualifies. If she doesn't qualify, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because she has the money. And if the policy comes out and she doesn't qualify, she just pays it off. Or if you're out there and you have student loans, what I would recommend is just pay your payment to yourself. Just put it in a savings account, pretty much like what she has. She has the full amount, but maybe you don't. You can just pay yourself and you'll see if you qualify at that point. Because like I said, we're at 0% interest until next year. So it's not hurting anybody to wait around and see if they're actually going to get this money. Paying that loan off right now, the only person you're hurting is yourself. Because there is the potential that they could come around and say, well, you qualify for 10K, and that's 10K that you didn't have to pay. And it's no fault of your own. And the only person that you're hurting is yourself, because that money is still going to be put on the taxpayer's back regardless. Whether you take it or not, that payment's still going to be there. Whether you take this payment or not, that burden is still going to be there. So again, you're just hurting yourself. So that's personally what I would do in this situation. I'm holding off. I'm going to see what's going to actually happen. And if it doesn't happen, you know, I'm pretty pessimistic on these government loans, right? So I maybe it's not going to happen. There's going to be some kind of clause where people don't qualify, but it's not going to matter because I'm still going to pay it off in January, or I'm going to take the loan forgiveness. So in my opinion, strategically, this is really bad advice. And it's not something that I would do. So that's personally what I'm doing. But I'd be interested in hearing what you guys think in the situation. Am I off? Is this all about morals and people should just pay it off on their own, even though they can take advantage of this? And, you know, people are still going to have this burden placed on their back anyway. But yeah, let me know what you think.